football, basketball, baseball, and pretty much everything else. This podcast is sponsored by both MonkeyKnifeFight.online and MyBookie.today. Without further ado, let's get this show on the road. Please welcome today's hosts.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the first NFL podcast of 2020. Bales, I think this is our first podcast that isn't a live stream. I think this is our first recorded podcast it's been since the last NFL season. So definitely of the year, but it's been quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually live, everyone talking to us and stuff, but it just feels good to be back with knowing NFL starts in 1 week. We're going to be watching football.
Yeah, I love football. Obviously, it's the biggest sport in terms of popularity, at least for fantasy. We're coming off a really strong NFL year at DFScover.com. My core plays went 12-5 in cash games on both FanDuel and DraftKings. Obviously, we have a promo up, so you guys can head over to the website and check that out if you're interested in signing up for a package. I would really suggest it, honestly. I feel pretty confident in myself, obviously confident in our team. And there's nothing better than getting in Discord on Sundays. Anthony's normally drunk and tilting his lineup because he probably made some sort of fish play because he doesn't know what's going on. And then he still backdoors and just wins 50K every single week. But for a while, he's normally tilting, and it's pretty funny. But yeah, obviously really excited. So for this podcast, we're just going to talk about some bold calls. I know Bales has some written down from Twitter and in our Discord. And we just, we're both itching to talk football, so we thought we'd hop on here and go over some of our favorite bold calls for the season. Bales, so are you going to start out with some from the Discord people?
Yeah, these are Discord and Twitter. I'll just go position by position. We have almost 10. So we can just quickly go through, talk about, if we like them or whatnot. But for quarterback, we have one, and it is someone called Matt Ryan MVP. I don't know. I could see it happen. I would probably rather go Matt Stafford, me personally. But do you think Ryan has any chance?
Yeah, I don't think. Obviously, not my pick for MVP. I have another MVP pick, which I gave out the other day on the baseball stream. A little spoiler for this specific podcast, but yeah, I can see it. If he stays healthy, the Falcons are always up there in terms of pass attempts. They throw the ball a ton. I have absolutely no faith in Todd Gurley's knee situation for him staying healthy for the whole year. They have absolutely nobody behind him. So if you want to parlay the Matt Ryan MVP bold call into another one, the Falcons are the perfect team. If Todd Gurley shows any signs of being hurt, they're the perfect team that could trade for a Marlon Mack or a Kareem Hunt if the Colts are comfortable with Jonathan Taylor, if the Browns are comfortable with only Nick Chubb. I could see the Falcons are probably the number one team, I think, that could trade for a running back. So I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, he's going to be up there in pass attempts. Their defense is not going to be good, and they're just going to have to throw the ball a lot. They still have a lot of games indoors again, which is really, really good for Matt Ryan. He needs to play inside. His splits inside are drastically different than playing outside, and he does have a lot of games inside. So I'm not going to say that I like it, but I can see it, and I think that's actually a pretty good one. It's not one I'm going to roast too much.
Yeah, no, I think that's a relatively solid bold call. Just bold enough that it could happen, but not so easy that we all are obviously. Moving on, we can hit running back, and we have 4 total, but 2 and 2 go against each other. So we'll just kind of break down them together. The first one is one person said Miles Sanders RB1, the RB1, and one person said Clyde Edwards-Helaire RB1. If I'm picking one of the two, I'll take Miles Sanders. I get it. Edwards-Helaire has all the love. He's the guy for Kansas City. He's such an offense. He's got great hands. He was the first round pick, even though it was the last pick. Rookie running backs just don't do it that often. It's not likely that he ends up being the RB1 as a rookie. It's just the way it is. I wouldn't be surprised if they spell him a little bit. Don't get me wrong. Love him. Think he's a great pick. I really have no problems. I could see him finishing top 5. Just doubt he gets to RB1. I also don't love Miles Sanders there, but you kind of have to get bold here because it's Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey is the RB1, but out of the two, I would take Miles Sanders as the guy that I think hits RB1 before Edwards-Helaire. But if I'm picking of the two, I do think that Edwards-Helaire is probably a little bit safer. So I would probably take him slightly ahead of Sanders in drafts. But if I want the one, I'm probably going to lean away from the rookie.
Yeah, I think these are two interesting ones. So I agree with you on Edwards-Helaire. So I wrote up Edwards-Helaire for Rookie of the Year for Bet Karma back right after the draft. I think it was late May. Maybe I wrote that up. Obviously, way before we got the Damian Williams news. So I do think he has a solid shot Rookie of the Year. I'm a big Joe Burrow guy, and I think Joe Burrow is going to have a really good year. I think he's the clear front runner. But I think if anybody, takes over that, Edwards-Helaire has probably the best chance to do so. So I think that's interesting. But I agree with you. I have Miles Sanders ahead of Edwards-Helaire personally, and I was as high. I already had Edwards-Helaire, which I had Edwards-Helaire inside my top 10 running backs before Damian Williams opted out of the NFL season. So I was already super high on Edwards-Helaire, but I have Miles Sanders even higher. I think if you take outside of McCaffrey, Barkley, really those two, I think that Miles Sanders has as good of a chance to be the RB1. If anyone's going to pass up McCaffrey, I would say he has as good of a chance as anybody does that's not named McCaffrey or Barkley, which that might be a hot take in itself, but I love Miles Sanders. I think he's really good. The whole offseason, all you've heard is Doug Peterson, he never uses one running back. He doesn't trust one running back. That's what everybody has said. But everything that the Eagles have done is showing that they are going to use one running back, and it's Miles Sanders. They didn't go out and sign a veteran like Carlos Hyde or Devonta Freeman. They didn't try and aggressively go for Leonard Fournette, even after Miles Sanders has missed time due to an injury. So I think that if there was any inkling that they were not going to use Miles Sanders like a workhorse running back, it would have been addressed already. So I do I love him in that role, and people forget, which I tweeted this out, Bales. Doug Peterson was the Chiefs' offensive coordinator the year that Jamal Charles was the running back 1 in fantasy. So I don't think that it's a Doug Peterson problem. I think it's just the fact that he's been dealing with Corey Clement and various running backs like that. He's never had a Miles Sanders. When Jordan Howard went down last year, Miles Sanders was an RB1 in fantasy, and he was really good. So I think that the wheels are up for Miles Sanders this year. I'm really high on him. So if I was going to choose one of those that I like more, it's Miles Sanders. I can actually see that happening, but it's not likely that anybody unseats McCaffrey, in my opinion, just with how they're going to use him, how bad their defense is going to be. I told Anthony in Discord last week that the Carolina Panthers are going to be like the Coors Field of NFL DFS this season, in my opinion. So it's really hard to pick anybody to unseat McCaffrey. But if I was going to go with the ones, it would be Sanders for me.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Moving on to the other running backs, it is Alvin Kamara and Josh Jacobs. So the plays are a little bit different, but they go together. The first is Josh Jacobs is the all-purpose yards leader of the season. And then the one for Alvin Kamara, because it would be a bold take to say Alvin Kamara is the all-purpose leader with McCaffrey, but it's Alvin Kamara breaks the all-purpose yards record, which obviously, if he's breaking it, Josh Jacobs, it clearly isn't leading the league, Man, I don't know how you feel about this. I like Josh Jacobs a lot. I don't think he really has a shot to lead the league in all-purpose yards. I do think if everything's working for Alvin Kamara, it's highly unlikely, but he's a player that has a chance to he's a guy that really has a chance to unseat McCaffrey as long as the Saints give him enough snaps. The problem is obviously they use a lot of Latavius Murray. Last year, Kamara was hurt. It looked it on film. I don't know. I feel like these two are relatively bold calls that I will say have very little chance of actually happening.
So just so this has absolutely nothing to do with NFL, even though I agree with what you're just saying. But I just want to caution you, for anyone that is a subscriber right now, Martin Perez is throwing a no-hitter right now. for the Boston Red Sox. If you guys know baseball, just how absurd that is.
Oh,
But
man.
yeah, getting back to the bold calls. I think so we need to caution this by saying that the Alvin Kamara one came from resident Saints homer in our Discord. Goes by the moniker Salmon, which is his actual last name, but that's what we call him. So it's not shocking. I jokingly said he was going to pick Taysom Hill for MVP for his, but yeah, it's not shocking that he went with the Saints player. The Josh Jacobs one. So this is the most interesting. This is one of the most interesting things of the whole offseason, in my opinion, Bales, because this offseason is so much different than normal years because we have no preseason games. And
Mhm.
really, unless which I am a psychopath and I am watching, I love going through every team and watching the short video clips that the team will post with some practice clips and stuff. I love doing that. So I have been doing that. But that's really all we get, right? There is nothing to watch. We have no actual idea for really, it's never like this. We never really have no idea what these teams are going to do, but we don't know what some of these teams are going to do. So we don't know if the Raiders are going to throw Josh Jacobs the football or not. Their moves say that they're probably not. Obviously, re-signing Jalen Richard, signing Theo Riddick, who I guess I'm not even sure if he's going to make the team. I would guess that he's going to make the team because I haven't seen anything, but I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't make the team. Drafted Lynn Bowden, who they say they're going to use at running back. So I don't know, the problem with me is I can see both sides of this, right? I can see that John Gruden maybe wanted to take it easy on Josh Jacobs last year, didn't want to overload him with catching the football and just being the focal point of the offense. So I can see that argument. And then I can also see the argument of them re-signing Jalen Richard
Mhm.
and the moves that they've made, and they're not going to throw the ball. The problem with me is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh Jacobs at Alabama was like a pass catching running back, right? He was really good in the passing game.
Yeah, Jacobs was absolutely fine. He was a more or less a complete back coming in.
Yeah, so the question really isn't can he catch the ball? It's literally the only question is if they're going to throw him the ball, and that's something we don't have the answer to. If they do throw him the ball, he's going to absolutely smash in fantasy football. So I think that's an interesting one because it's really an unknown. The Kamara one, I definitely if it was Kamara's going to lead all-purpose yards, I could see that, but I mean breaking the record that would be pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. We have 3 left, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really entertaining any of the 3. I think they're all pretty ridiculous. First one: Cowboys have 3 wide receivers finish inside the top 20 for fantasy. The hype has gotten out of control. You can't have 3 top 20 wide receivers. It's not going to happen on one team. Dak would need to throw for 7,000 yards and 50 touchdowns. It's not going to happen. If you're looking at 2, yeah, absolutely. Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup, I believe, both have the opportunity to finish inside the top 20. CeeDee Lamb, I have absolutely no problems with him as a player. It's just not going to happen this year. It is what it is, but it's not going to happen in my opinion. I don't know if you differ in that, but
no, I think maybe if you said 3 in the top 25, maybe a little bit more realistic, but I don't know. I guess maybe if one of them went crazy, if a couple say Cooper and Gallup both had 1,000 yards, right? And then say CeeDee Lamb, is the guy he scores double-digit touchdowns. I think maybe something weird like that could happen because they are losing a lot of targets, right? Randall Cobb, we've talked about this. Randall Cobb, 83 targets last year, I believe. So CeeDee Lamb's just going to step in and absorb those targets. So it's not like they don't have targets to give up. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of excessive. If it was top 25 or 30, I think that's a bit more reasonable than top 20.
For what it's worth, top 20 last year was 220 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, it's not – I think two because what? The Bucks had 2 in the top 10, right?
In the top
last
10.
Year. I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both were top 10. Obviously.
No, Mike Evans ended 15 because he only played 13 games, but he was. Okay. They were both top 10 in their average.
Yeah. So 2 in the top 15. Yeah. So 3 in the top 20. That's just if it was 3 in the top 30, I think maybe you could make an argument.
Let's put it this way: how good was that offense last year?
Yeah. Well, are you speaking the Bucks or the Cowboys?
No, the Cowboys.
Yeah, super good. I think they could
Amari
be better.
Cooper, wide receiver 10, Michael Gallup, wide receiver 22. They didn't even have 2 in the top 20,
Right.
let alone a third. Randall Cobb, wide receiver 44. It would need to take a major jump.
Yeah, for sure. There is the argument that, I mean, Mike McCarthy loves to throw the ball. Like, I think they're going to, like, there's a legit chance that Dak leads the league in pass attempts by, like, a wide margin, I think.
Yeah, I would be good with that. It's just that it's not really possible for one team.
Yeah, I agree with the overall point, though. I agree with you, yes.
The next one, Van Jefferson, rookie wide receiver 1. Yeah,
wow,
I mean, I like
okay, that's spice. That's about as spicy as we've gotten so far.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't think it happens just
Yeah.
because it's not like Van Jefferson is walking into a big role. I think he's talented. If he was like the number 1, even like the number 2 on his team, I think you could take your shot there. But the problem is we know Cooper Kupp's getting them. We know Robert Woods is getting his, and it sounds a lot like Tyler Higbee's also going to get some. So realistically, he has to beat out Josh Reynolds with a very short training camp, no games. I don't see it happening. I feel like there's very obvious options, that are going to overtake him. It's not even like I feel like Van Jefferson sits at like 3 and he could jump him. Like it's just not there for me.
Yeah. So, okay. I do think Van Jefferson has already jumped Josh Reynolds for the WR3 job.
But you think for like full snaps?
Well, it just depends what they do. Because if they want to play 12 personnel, Van Jefferson's not going to be on the field, right? Because it's going to be Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods.
Yeah.
Now, there is a chance that one of those guys could get hurt. Cooper Kupp in particular has been dealing with injuries. I do want to ask you, do you know who led the NFL in pass attempts last season?
In pass attempts last season? Off the top of my head, no, I don't. Was it Jared Goff?
It was Jared Goff at 626 pass attempts. So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and their defense is only getting worse. So I think that they're going to be throwing the football. So I don't mind this one, but it's going to take a lot to go in your favor, right? Because the obvious picks for that would be Jalen Reagor, who is going to miss some time. I think Jalen Reagor is probably the number 1 pick for me. CeeDee Lamb's right there as well. I think that's really the main 2 you're worried about. Justin Jefferson, I don't think is going to get on the field, at least to start. He still hasn't passed Olabisi Johnson for a starting job in Minnesota, and they're not expecting him to be a starter to start the season. So that's a positive. Denzel Mims is still injured. So, like, who else do you think, like, realistically, like, who was, like, your top 3 right now that could be the rookie W1? Because I think Reagor and CeeDee Lamb are probably the top 2. Yep, Laviska Shenault, I think, is right there as well.
I think you're missing someone. Henry Ruggs.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Henry Ruggs right there. Bryan Edwards, I think, as well. I think both of those guys could easily be the WR1 in terms of being rookie. But
yeah, I don't have any issues with Jerry Jeudy whatsoever. Like, he's going to play. Like, he's going to walk in, he's going to play. The problem for me is if you're looking at Van Jefferson, for him to get in the same position of some of these other guys, and I'm not even talking about Ruggs, who's probably going to be the wide receiver 1, but to get in the same position as someone like Jerry Jeudy, he needs an injury. He's not even going to be in that situation unless someone gets hurt.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're going to fully run 12 personnel, right? Like, they're going to, like, I think Van Jefferson's getting on the field, which we'll see. They play Sunday night. Week 1, they play Sunday night. We're going to see if this guy gets on the field, which I think he's going to get on the field. They're going to be throwing it a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's not likely, but I don't mind it. Like, I think that's an interesting one. I think what an interesting conversation would be. So who do you like? Obviously, you and I both, I was not even like a huge Henry Ruggs guy. With him coming out of college, I had Jalen Reagor above him personally in my rankings. I had Jalen Reagor above Jerry Jeudy though, which I know you would roast me for, but I did have Jalen Reagor above Jerry Jeudy. But who do you like between Bryan Edwards and Henry Ruggs? I think that's a really interesting conversation because, I mean, John Gruden has a legit history of feeding his WR1. We know that Bryan Edwards is going to start, at the X, and then Henry Ruggs is starting Z. But I think that, like, people get caught up in this Derek Carr doesn't throw the ball deep. Like, people get caught up in this Henry Ruggs is a deep threat when They're
He's
going to
not.
get this guy the ball in the short and intermediate areas of the field. Like, they're going to get him the ball and let him run after the catch.
The problem that everyone like, I don't know why Henry Ruggs became this deep threat. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's just because he's fast and
Yeah.
he's like kind of small. He's not. He ran a ton of short routes at Alabama. He just had all these deep touchdowns because he's so much faster than everyone else. Like, he ran slants and just quick routes like literally every single game. He was not just a deep threat. I like Ruggs more than I like Edwards. I do like Edwards. I think he's a fine receiver. I just see him as being more of like a wide receiver too versus a guy that can really lead your team, which is what I think Ruggs is.
Yeah, now that we've been talking about...
To be fair though, I didn't like Ruggs that much coming out. I just like the landing spot.
Yeah,
like if Ruggs went to the Broncos and Judy went to the Raiders, like I don't even think they would be in the same like,
completely agree.
planet. Yeah, it would be crazy.
Completely agree. Love the landing spot for Ruggs. Whoever went to Oakland, I was going to love. That's why I wanted to, like, dude, they could have taken any wide receiver. They took the first one. CeeDee Lamb in Oakland would have been, well, I guess Vegas now. I can already tell I'm going to do that about 100 times.
I do it all the time too.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb in Vegas would have been just the stone nuts. I really wish that would have happened. But, yeah, I don't know, dude. Edwards and Ruggs both have the ability, especially if Jalen Reagor misses more time than we think. I think they both have a decent chance at it. Like, I really like Bryan Edwards. I think he's really good. But all right, we'll move on.
Yeah, I have no problem with that too. But for our final one, it's Hayden Hurst, tight end 1. Listen, I'm as high on Hayden Hurst as anyone. I love Hayden Hurst this year just because he plays for the Falcons. Like, they can feed him. I don't think Austin Hooper's nearly as good as he was last year. With that being said, to be tight end 1, you have to legitimately be good because there are other tight ends that are also getting the same treatment. Hayden Hurst is not Travis Kelce. Hayden Hurst is not Mark Andrews. And Hayden Hurst is not George Kittle. I don't know why his name was slipping in my memory. We can keep doing this. Like, he's not Evan Ingram. We know that. Like, we can do it all day.
Is he even Austin Hooper?
No.
I don't think he is either. Look, I think Hayden Hurst, back in like April, May, I think Hayden Hurst was a great fantasy pick. You want to talk about hype getting out of control? The Hayden Hurst hype has gotten out of control. I can only go so far with drafting someone based off situation. Like, obviously, situation's a massive part of fantasy football and if they're going to get touches and whatnot. But at some point, if you're talking about reaching a ceiling, actual playing ability does come into effect. And I'm not saying Hayden Hurst is a bad player, but I don't think he's as good as Austin Hooper, like we just said. I don't think we can just simply say, oh, he's taking the Austin Hooper role. He's going to put up numbers like Austin Hooper did. Like, I don't think you can just make that comparison. So this is a bit of a stretch for me. There's so many late tight ends, dude. There is so many good tight end breakout candidates. Ian Thomas, Jonnu Smith, Chris Herndon, Mike Gesicki. Like, if you're going to say Mike Gesicki, tight end 1, all aboard. I think you can make that case. But
Blake Jarwin.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude, I love Blake
Jason
Jarwin.
Witten did it last year, and he's...
I know, like, we're missing something. I know I'm missing something. But there's so many good tight ends.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson, baby. I love you. I love you, Tim Anderson. If you're watching this fantasy football podcast, yeah. I am a big fan of yours.
There's just so many tight ends that once you get past, like, you know, the top couple guys, you know who they are, like Mark Andrews and everyone above him. It's basically a free for all. Like, tight end's not consistent. It's just a free for all. So I feel like out of specific guys, and don't get me wrong, I really like Hayden Hurst this year because of the situation, but I'm not going to put him at like tight end, like the tight end 1.
I can't even get him. I can't get him in drafts anymore, dude.
Like, now he's gone a little too early. Dude, but Mike Gesicki is going so late, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I think I have Gesicki in like every draft.
I have him on any draft I've done. I've done a few best balls. I haven't done nearly as many best balls as I did last year because I don't know, the draft app was just so convenient. I feel like I'm the old guy that's like, get off my lawn, but it was so much more convenient. Underdog is cool. I like Underdog, but I just haven't done as many. But any draft I've done, I have Mike Gesicki on every team. I agree, but I can't get Hayden Hurst in drafts, dude. Like, he goes way too high.
Yeah, which, like it is what it is at this point. You could have got him earlier in the year, but that's the one key thing. Like, people don't really understand about fantasy football and like drafting. Like, you can't. It just because you like a guy doesn't mean go get him. Like, get him where you should be taking him, or
Yeah,
get
I'm
him a
not
little bit ahead
overpaying
of.
for Hayden
Yeah,
Hurst when I can get Mike Gesicki or Chris Herndon way late. Chris Herndon you can get for like free.
yeah, it's
And I like, who I like a little bit late tight end? I kind of like Logan Thomas if he's actually going to start for Washington.
yeah.
I think
I
that's
just
really
I just
interesting.
picked up Marvin Thomas in the league. I think I have no problems with him. Like, I think he's actually like not a bad player.
Yeah, I think he's really athletic, which really, that matters to me a ton at tight end. But all right, Bales, let's get to the good stuff. This is what the people showed up for. They want our bold calls for 2020. Do you want to start out? I know I have so many stored up. I can rapid fire this, but I know you have some specific ones that you like a lot. So if you want to start, you go right on ahead.
Oh man, I'll
Yeah, we're gonna keep it like one chili pepper, and then we'll gradually increase maybe to like
and
five
keep
chili
going.
peppers by then. Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know which one of these is like the spiciest. I'll start with the one that I think is the tamest. I have Nick Chubb goes for 1,500 or more yards from scrimmage, and Kareem Hunt goes for 1,000 plus.
Okay. I think that could happen, honestly. If the Browns do what we expect them to do, I think that could happen. I have a Nick Chubb bold call as well. So that was actually pretty
Oh
cool that you
man.
have one.
All right, I dig it. Well, I see that one's I don't feel like is that crazy, just because we know Stefanski loves just handing it off left and right, and like he now has two running backs that he can easily spell, and we know that you're not like the drop off from Dalvin Cook to Alexander Madison is relatively drastic. The drop off from Nick Chubb to Kareem Hunt, not so much. So I think they're going to be splitting a lot more. Plus, obviously, you saw that Nick Chubb can hold his own in the passing game. And we know that Kareem Hunt's like one of the better passing backs in the NFL. So I have no problems. I think Chubb goes for 1,500 plus, and Hunt goes for over 1,000.
I like that one. I'm gonna save my Nick Chubb one. My Nick Chubb one's a little more bold, and I'm gonna save that one. I'm gonna start off with. So last year, Christian McCaffrey led the NFL in touches at 403. I am going to go with Bill O'Brien gives David Johnson 350. He's not gonna get 400. He's gonna get 350 touches.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, I mean
That's
he's laughable. I mean just an
all right.
absolute joke. I hate
I
his
actually
chin too, man. I hate his chin. You know what I'm talking about. Anyone that's watching this knows what I'm talking about, dude. I hate it.
listen, dude. I really like David Johnson.
David Johnson's a value in fantasy football drafts.
Massive value.
Huge value.
Has he when he's gone over 350 once in his career in
Yeah,
2016?
I believe one time. And dude, look, you can say what you want about David Johnson's time in Arizona. The fact of the matter is, last season, prior to him getting hurt, which I know he has had injury concerns, prior to him getting
RB1.
hurt, he was very, very good the first few weeks of last season. So if he stays healthy, I think that they're going to feed him, and I think he could be a potential league winner in seasonal drafts where he's going, and I think he's going to be an interesting DFS play. He's not on the main slate week one. Hopefully, I honestly hope he has kind of a mediocre game
Yeah,
that week one so
I
we
hope
can
he does
play him.
nothing.
Yeah. I don't.
Especially since it's going to be on Thursday.
Yeah, and
I
everyone will be
honestly
watching
hope he
it.
looks slow too, because that's everyone's thing. Oh, he can't run.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he hurt his ankle. Did you see Alvin Kamara? It's the same thing. Like, obviously, Kamara looked better than David Johnson, but Johnson was the RB1 until he got hurt.
Yep. People forget that. So I hope he has a quiet Thursday night so that we can play him in week 2. I don't know who the Texans play week 2, but hopefully we can play him. But what is your second one?
Yeah, this one I'd actually say is really bold. Matthew Stafford, I have finishing what he started last year, and he throws for 5,000 plus and 40 plus touchdowns.
Look, I love Matt Stafford this year. another guy, people don't realize how well he was playing before he got injured last year. So I'm not going to disagree with that one. I don't have much to say about that because I like Matt Stafford a lot this year. I think that's a
He
pretty good
was
one.
he I mean, don't get me wrong, he was putting up the best numbers of his career, but he was more or less on pace. I think he was on pace for like either 38 touchdowns, I think, and like slightly under 5,000 yards. So it would have just taken like one big game and he could have been there, assuming he held pace, obviously. Dude, the receivers are so good. Marvin Jones, probably the most underrated receiver in the NFL. Galladay is just into his own as honestly one of the underappreciated ones. He's a true wide receiver one, and then they have like Amendola. Hawkinson continues to get better, and they're gonna have DeAndre Swift in the passing game. And I mean, I'm not like huge on Swift just because I don't think that he's going to be a workhorse back or anything. But if you look at his talent, it's 100% there. He could take some dump offs deep, and it just is going to help Stafford a ton.
Yeah, Galladay led the league in receiving touchdowns last year with absolute slop at quarterback after he went down. I mean, who did they have? David Blau for a good chunk.
Jeff Driscoll too,
Yeah,
I
Jeff
think.
Driscoll and David Blau. I think that was their guys. But yeah, Marvin Jones is really good, and that division's kind of on the way down. You know, like the Vikings defense is not going to be as good as the Vikings defense of old. The Chicago Bears had a couple guys opt out. Their defense isn't going to be as good as it was that year that they went to the playoffs. So I don't have any real issues with that. I think that's a good one. I'm going to go. I have a quarterback one as well, so I'm going to use that one here, and I'm going to go with. Man, some people aren't going to like this. Lamar Jackson scores more fantasy points than he did in 2019. That is my quarterback one for this year.
I mean, is that even possible?
Yeah, so obviously had a monster year, but I think that for one reason I like this is they had a historically great season in terms of being ahead of teams. Like they got punched in the mouth and rocked by the Browns at home early on in the season, and they had like two other close games. Other than that, they were just blowing teams out every single week. And it was taking the ball out of Lamar's hands in the second halves of these games, right? He wasn't having to throw the ball.
Yeah.
He led the league in passing touchdowns, and he was nowhere near where he could have been in terms of having to throw the football. So I think he's going to have to throw it a little bit more. And he's an efficient passer, man. He was an efficient passer in college. I think he can be an efficient passer in the NFL. So I think he's going to throw it more. And he's also due for some positive regression on the ground, too. He didn't score many rushing touchdowns, Bills. And you want to talk about someone like Josh Allen, who was scoring rushing touchdowns left and right. He runs a lot less than Lamar Jackson. So I think Lamar's going to rush for more touchdowns than he did last year. And I think he's going to have to throw the ball a little bit more. So if he stays healthy, I think he can easily go over, maybe not easily, but I think he can go over his total of what he did in 2019.
I like it. I do think it's a bold call because he played so well.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
but
think that's his ceiling,
like
though. I don't think 2019 is his ceiling in terms of fantasy output.
the one thing that I worry about is will teams have been able to adjust to him? Because don't get me wrong, I like him as a passer, but we know he's not, Patrick Mahomes or anything.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times his rushing will really open up the passing game, obviously. That's still going to be a thing, clearly. And I think he's going to continue to progress as a passer because we can see the talent there. And obviously he took a major jump from year one to year two, which he also took a jump from college. And he was always because he runs so much. He was always an underrated passer, where everyone's like, oh, he's super erratic, but he always had the tools, so it didn't really matter. I like it. I think that could happen. My obvious concern would be injuries stopping it. But if you watch him play, he doesn't get hit that much. He's very quick. He goes out of bounds a lot. It's not like a guy that is Cam Newton where, he's just taking a beating because he's so big. It's Lamar Jackson's quicker than everyone, so he doesn't really ever get hit full on, really.
Yeah. Do you know how many rushing touchdowns he had last year off the top of your head?
Lamar Jackson?
Yeah. Like, what would you guess, not knowing?
I think I know. I believe he had 7.
Yes, he had 7. Do you know how many Josh Allen had?
Oh my God. And I'm gonna guess the way you're talking 11.
Yeah, he had 9. Josh
9.
Allen was first. He had 9. So this is one of my reasons. Are you taking over under 9 rushing touchdowns, Josh Allen, this year? Because I'm taking the under.
Under. I'll take the under easily.
Now, this is my problem. Look, this has nothing to do with Josh Allen. I'm sorry. We completely got off topic here, but I have to address this. Because a lot of people, I do have some Bills fans that follow me. A lot of people wonder why I have Josh Allen so low this season. Josh Allen scored 9 rushing touchdowns last year, and he was the QB6 in fantasy football. Now, if you're telling me, like you just said, you took the under, and I took the under, if he's not going to get 9 rushing touchdowns, how is he gonna score higher than the QB6 if he's not going to rush in 9 touchdowns?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put him higher than that. You know what I mean? I think I have him at like 8 or something. I don't know. I would need to check, but I have him around there. I think the big thing is he got Stephon Diggs, and we know Diggs is really good, but I don't think it's, he might get a little bit better as a passer with Diggs out there, but if he's dropping the touchdowns, it kind of evens itself out.
I don't have any faith in him
becoming a better passer.
Yeah, I have no faith in him. Look, I like Josh. Josh Allen's one of my favorite players to watch play football. I like his attitude. I like the way he just sends it, which I like. So I'm not hating on Josh Allen. It's just I'm just speaking from a fact. If I have no faith in him ever being an accurate passer, so when he can't run the football effectively or score 9 touchdowns, it's just not going to be pretty. And if he ever gets hurt and he can't run anymore, I don't see how he really lasts as the Bills starter. I just don't have faith in him ever being a good passer.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, you can give me your third bold call.
Man, all right, I'm gonna go with more of a breakout call here. Anthony Miller grabs 75 or more receptions and hits 1,000 yards for the first time.
I like this one too. I know we've both we were on Anthony Miller when he was a rookie. We were fans of his.
Love him coming out.
I don't mind that at all, because if you think about this, who do the Bears have to throw to?
Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller.
They have Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller. They have about 17 tight ends, but who of those tight ends are good, right? Because we're not going to say Jimmy Graham is good at football anymore, and he's their number one. So who after that are you really thinking is going to? So I think that's a good one, and especially, so it seems like Mitch Trubisky is going to start Week 1 against Detroit, and then it's going to switch over to Foles maybe Week 2 or whenever he's ready. I don't know. It seems like Trubisky starting Week 1, and then it's going to be Foles after Week 1. But Foles is the best quarterback. That obviously he's better than Trubisky, but Anthony Miller being a young player, it's going to be the best quarterback play he's ever had.
The thing about Anthony Miller is that he's going to run those short, quick routes that Foles absolutely loves. And Foles, I don't like Foles as a quarterback. I don't think he's good. I haven't thought he's good. I have gone out saying that multiple times, even before he won the Super Bowl. I don't care that he won it. He's very good at the quick hit style, very high completion percentage. And I think that that's going to bode extremely well for Anthony Miller. Another thing for him is that last year, he didn't even play 65% of the snaps. It has to go up.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone else. It has to go up. And if that's the case, his catch rate actually has sat at 61% both years. Super consistent. I think it probably will go up with Foles, but even if it doesn't go up, it's only 120 targets. His yards per reception would have to go up a little to hit the 1,000. I think he would get right around 900 if he keeps it 12. But if his snaps go up, his targets are going to go up, obviously. I think they're going to make him a larger part of the offense, especially after they've been talking him up this offseason and they've already named him a breakout candidate in camp. It would be really weird for them not to at least feature him a little bit. And it's not like he needs something ridiculous to happen for him to hit the 75 and 1,000 mark.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really strong one. As far as my next one, what do you want? You want my Nick Chubb one?
Yeah. Let's get Chubb out of here.
This is actually bold. So this is my Chubb one. Nick Chubb, falls short of 2,000 yards after being rested in Week 17 because the Browns are comfortably in a playoff spot.
Oh man, that needs so much to go right. You need Chubb to get near 2,000, and then you need the Browns to think to themselves, "No, we're not gonna let this guy get to 2,000 because we are so far ahead."
I mean, okay, so say he's at like something, not like if he was like 40 yards off. Obviously, they're gonna be like, "Go get 2,000 yards," right? Say he's like 200 off, like you would rest him, right? If they're in a playoff spot.
Yeah, I'd rest him.
Yeah, you would rest him if he's like 200 off. So say he gets like, so in essence, this could be like he rushes for 1,800 yards.
Yeah, I would be fine with anything over 200. I'm not giving you the win though, because that's not realistic.
All right, that's fine. What, I don't even know who they play Week 17. It's probably Pittsburgh would be my guess. So not an easy game.
I have a pretty sweet running back one here too, and man, are you gonna hate it?
All right.
Devin Singletary finishes in the top 5 of the NFL in rushing yards.
Dude, I have a Bills one too, so I'm gonna give you mine real quick, and then we'll talk about this. Mine was Zach Moss scores more rushing touchdowns than Devin Singletary and Josh Allen combined.
I wouldn't.
So
I don't.
Perfect.
Dude, I don't even hate yours because he's so big, and all teams really think about. They're like, oh, big guy score from one. Like it. Okay, it is what it is. But, dude, I don't get the Zach Moss love. Compared to Devin Singletary, why would Moss just take over? Everyone's acting like Devin Singletary is this atrocious running back. In his final 6 games, he started all 6. He averaged almost 80 yards per game. That's like 1,300, between 12 and 1,300 yards on a season. He just got hurt. And besides when he was hurt, I think there were only 2 games that he played where he played less than 65% of the snaps. Like, I don't even care if Zach Moss comes in and takes Gore's role. Gore barely had a role when Singletary was playing. He just played well when Singletary got hurt.
So I think you and I are as far apart on Devin Singletary as you could possibly be. Like, you and I are far apart on Austin Eckler for fantasy football this season, but I love Austin Eckler. I think Austin Eckler is a good player. So I'm not hating on Austin Eckler. I legitimately think Devin Singletary is like overrated and not super good at football. But that's just me. He's not athletic. He isn't above average catching the football, right? He caught the football last year. I don't think he's necessarily good at catching the football. I think that Zach Moss is going to lead the team in carries. And I think that, I don't know, there's reports of Singletary struggle. I don't know if you saw that report about him having fumble issues. That came out today. Whatever.
Yeah.
I have no idea because I haven't been able to watch anything, right? It's whatever. That's hearsay. Like, I don't really know. But I just don't think that they're going to use Devin Singletary as like a runner that much. And I don't think, like, obviously Diggs is coming over. I just don't think he's going to be as efficient in the receiving game. And I think that if they get close, like if they get close to the end zone, it's going to be Zach Moss or Josh Allen's going to try and take it in himself. Josh Allen, I'd have to look up red zone carries off the top of my head, but I'm sure he had quite a few red zone carries last year if he scored 9 touchdowns, right?
Yeah, but what do I care for? Like, the argument that we're sitting on here is that the time Devin Singletary comes off the field is when they get to the 2-yard line.
Okay. Well, I don't think, unless it's third down, I don't know how much he's going to be on the field, man. I think Zach Moss is going to outsnap Devin Singletary. That's my personal
I don't even
feelings.
think. Yeah, I don't even think they're going to come close. And I also think that Devin Singletary is an extremely underrated pass catcher, where I don't think he's elite. Don't get me wrong. Not even close to elite. But if you're just looking at like his final years of college, I think who cares? Because if you look at his freshman year, he was absolutely fine. There was no issues. And if you are just assuming that Zach Moss is going to come in and be this dominant pass catcher, I don't think you're correct. And it just, don't get me wrong, I liked Zach Moss coming out of college. I just don't like him more than Devin Singletary. And if that's the case, like, I don't see why them drafting Zach Moss is this nail in the coffin for Singletary like people are making it out to be. Like I understand Marlon Mack is going to be out of there with Jonathan Taylor. That makes sense. They spent up on Taylor. Moss is just kind of there. I think he's going to have a similar role to Frank Gore. He'll get the goal line carries. That's fine. It's going to suck when he vultures touchdowns, but Josh Allen was going to do that anyway. It's not like you were drafting Devin Singletary to really score 20 touchdowns in a season. And also, just for the bold call, I'm going solely rushing yards. I didn't want to get touchdowns on this. Okay, I don't trust his touchdown.
Well, so this could be a prop bet if we're so different on this. So let's say we can decide stakes later. We'll say just pure running back Zach Moss versus Devin Singletary. Snap percentage end of the season. We'll say minimum. What? They both have to play. You would say 13 or 14 games for this to count?
I'll go 13 games. That's fine.
Okay, so they both have to play in 13 games. Snap percentage, end of the season. I'll take Zach Moss. You take Devin Singletary.
Yeah, I'll take that.
All right. We'll decide this later. I have a prop bet with Joey, which I don't know. I feel like he basically bet me Browns versus Bears wins.
Yeah,
because he loves Nick Foles. I don't know. He's going to try. So if I think Foles is going to start every week after week 1. He is going to try and void this bet.
Oh, yeah.
If
absolutely.
Foles doesn't start week 1, which if he still plays 15 of the 16 games, what does it matter,
Yeah, he's going to try to void that.
He's going to try and void this, especially if the Browns outwin. He's going to void this. I know this is going to be avoided.
The one other thing that I really just want to hammer down here is Devin Singletary, we know isn't this elite athlete, right? We just know it.
Yes.
But you don't always need to be. Is the first thing, which don't get me wrong, it's just an outlier. Like I'm not ever going to stand here and be like, oh, not being a good athlete is going to help you. But he wasn't a great athlete at FAU, and yet he still dominated. Now in his first year, he averaged 5.1 per carry. It was 4th in the NFL. Like I don't care. Zach Moss is a middle round running back, and the guy that they have in front of him averaged over 5 a carry. Like I truthfully just don't see where you're coming from, and I feel pretty confident I'm going to collect that bet at the end of the season.
Yeah, I'm not a believer in Singletary. And so what pick overall did Zach Moss go? Do I know that off the top of my head? I don't know if I know that.
Look that up in a second.
Because
86.
Okay, so Zach Moss went 86 in the NFL draft, right?
Yeah.
Devin Singletary went what? 74th. Right. So they're both. It's not like they really went out of their way to draft either of them super high, right?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Why would the guy that they just drafted at a slightly lower spot come in and just take over for a dude that? I
think he's a better. I think he's a better runner. I think he's a better bet to be in there on early downs. And I think that
crazy.
I think he's gonna. I think they could come out. They play the Jets week 1. I think that they could come out at 1:00, and Zach Moss starts that football game. I would not be shocked.
Week 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that happens.
Barely any.
Yes.
That's your boldest call. And that's
I would not be shocked if Zach Moss starts that game. I won't.
That would be hilarious. But there's no way. I think we knew that we were so far off on Singletary when I drafted him in our dynasty league, and I texted you and was like, "Yeah, got Singletary." Like that was an easy pick, and you're like, "Nope, he sucks."
All right, we'll finish this up. We'll go one more each. We're gonna keep this under. We're at 48 minutes. We'll keep this under an hour, so we'll go one more each. I'm gonna go. I already gave my Cam Newton comeback player of the year and MVP away on the MLB stream, so I don't want to use that one. So I'm gonna shout out Anthony Carson with this pick. And I'm gonna say the Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl. This is not a homer pick. Cleveland Browns win the Super Bowl. Bold call.
Homer pick. Homer.
I have no bias. I have no bias.
I will say 2 things on this end. One, I do think the Browns can win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's out of the question to the point where like Anthony will say it and people will be like, that's the most ridiculous thing.
Anthony is like homerish about it. I am not. I'm just like, if I'm taking a dog to win the Super Bowl, the Cowboys have gotten way too much hype for me. I liked them early on. The hype for the Cowboys is out of control. So if I'm picking one team that's not the Chiefs, not the Ravens, not the 49ers, that's probably the chalk three.
Yeah.
And then the Cowboys probably be fourth. I'm picking the Cleveland Browns. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks. I would pick the Indianapolis Colts. That would probably be my 3 picks. And the Saints are right there as well.
The
Like
Colts, that's a bolder take than.
Yeah, that's a bolder take than the Browns. I agree with that. But I like the Colts. I think they're going to win the division. So I think they're going to be, dude, one last ride. I think it's one last ride for Philip. Philip Rivers was not bad last year. If you look at his efficiency numbers, they were nowhere off his career averages.
I don't know, dude. He just can't throw is the thing.
But they're gonna have a similar team makeup to the Titans. I think they're gonna run the ball a lot. And if you look, people flame Philip Rivers for throwing 20 something interceptions. I think he threw 20 picks last year. He had at least 4 to 5 of them were on Hail Marys. I looked this up.
Oh yeah. Philip Rivers is the one guy that doesn't care whatsoever about his stats. So, at the end of the game when he's trying to win, ball, he just throws it. He just goes. I like that. But
yeah, I think they're gonna win the division. I'm shocked that they were favored to win the division. I was bummed out about that because I thought they were gonna be a good bet, but people are on them. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind them. I don't think they really have a Super Bowl shot with Rivers. I just don't see that happening. But I don't hate your Browns call if everything clicks for him. But
yeah,
I don't know. The Saints just signed Clowney at the beginning of this podcast. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, the Saints are a really good Super Bowl bet, I think. So the year that they lost to Minnesota on that fluke play, that fluke Diggs touchdown, I bet a decent amount of money. I bet a decent amount of money on them to win the Super Bowl after week 3 or 4. They were plus 1,200 or plus 1,300 to win the Super Bowl. So I was thinking that they had this. I'm like, they're going to the Super Bowl, and they got a 50-50 shot at winning this. And that Diggs touchdown happened. And I think that's a team that could run pure. They get so unlucky with calls. Obviously, the Diggs touchdown, the Rams stuff. Even last year, they could have beat Minnesota last year. I think they could run pure and they could easily go Super Bowl. I think they're a strong bet, honestly.
I think so too. My final one, I feel like this is my spiciest one.
Okay.
But I don't know. I have Adam Thielen getting back to 2018 form with 100+ receptions, 1,000+ yards, and 10+ touchdowns on 150 or more targets.
Wow. Okay. Well, I do think the Vikings are going to throw the ball a little bit more than they did last season.
We know that Kubiak just loves to feed his top receiver. Yeah. We saw with Marius Thomas, and they just kept going and going. And who else is taking targets from him? Honestly.
Yeah, like I said, they drafted Justin Jefferson, and he's not expected to see the field much in week 1 at all. So yeah, I mean, no one is funneling targets away from him with Diggs gone. He has really positive splits with Diggs out of the lineup. I'm a Kirk Cousins guy, which everyone knows, and I think they're going to throw the ball more. So I don't hate this at all. If you want a touchdown one, though, I know I said I'm only getting one more, but I just want to hear your reaction to this because this is so funny. This is so funny.
Is it worse than Zach Moss?
I don't know if it's worse. It's just it's not unlikely. It's not likely, so you're gonna flame it. But Miles Sanders, 10 touchdowns on the ground, 10 through the air for a total of 20.
Come.
I don't think a running back has caught 10 touchdowns in 40 years. So yeah, this is pretty bold.
What did McCaffrey have?
I don't think he had 10 through there last year.
Let's see. Where is he at? He had 4.
Yeah,
4
Christian McCaffrey had 4 receiving touchdowns. I legit think the last time a running back caught 10 double-digit touchdowns in the air, it was well before I was born. So that's bold.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. I don't even know what to say.
So whoever picked Miles Sanders RB1, you got to be feeling pretty good about that one.
You gotta love it.
Yeah. All right. Do you have any last words for this first NFL pod of 2020, Bales?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really fun to read these comments of people that watch this and tell us that we're idiots. Bold calls are bold calls. They're not supposed to happen, but when
Yeah,
all 5 of mine hit, it's going to be pretty fun.
yeah, we're not picking what we expect to happen. We're trying to step out and be a little bit bold. Just have some fun. Be sure to give this a thumbs up on YouTube. That really helps us out. So we would appreciate that. And if you're still watching this, drop your bold call for 2020 in the comments, and I'll have some fun reading those later on. But as always, we have a ton of free content coming for you this football season. DFSCarmer.com. All of the regular stuff. We're gonna add some new stuff on this year. We're under a week, Bales. It's next week. And we'll have
Feels
all this
good.
stuff. It feels really good. We'll have all this stuff ready to go for week 1. And I think the next time we'll see you guys, as far as the NFL goes, Anthony and I are recording the cash process, first one of the year, on Sunday. So I'll see you guys on that. That being said, good luck. We'll see you guys next week.